Taoiseach, you've confirmed that we'll have an election in a matter of weeks, and with that, this government's disastrous handling of the housing crisis will be on the ballot. A vote for this government will be a vote for record house prices, record rents, record homelessness, and over 500,000 adults living in their childhood bedrooms. Every week, this crisis deepens and deteriorates. House prices are now rising by double digits, 10% per year. Nationally, first-time buyers are facing median house prices of €345,000 and a staggering €462,000 in Dublin. Who can afford these kinds of prices and relentless increases? As soon as people think they've scraped and scrimped enough to buy, the prices change again. The goalposts shift. This is why people are losing hope. Because no matter how hard they work, how hard they save, how hard they try to do everything right, it is never enough. Every month, house prices climb even higher. Since this government took office, median house prices have increased by €85,000. Taoiseach, that's more than €20,000 added to the cost of a home every single year. Do you think people's salaries are increasing at that kind of a rate? Are teachers, nurses and Gardaí, for example, getting their pay bumped by 20 grand a year? Because that's what they need just to stand still. To make matters worse, and frankly just confusing, the government keeps telling them that their plan is working. It's only working if your plan is soaring house prices. And that is a plan that only works for developers and vulture funds. Last week, the Social Democrats launched our affordable housing plan. It's fully costed, credible and deliverable. Under our plan, 3-bed homes could be delivered in Dublin for less than €300,000 per year. In the rest of the country, prices would be below €260,000. The people buying these homes would own their home and the land it is built on. Affordable rental is also a key component of the plan. Over the term of the next government, we would deliver 75,000 of these genuinely affordable homes. The Social Democrats want to go into government, not to make up the numbers, but to treat housing like the emergency that it is, and to take radical action to address it. Taoiseach, you said at the weekend we need 60,000 homes a year. That has been obvious to everybody other than your government for a long time. But the key question is not the target, but how will we get there? And how will people on average incomes be able to buy them? Taoiseach, my questions are, do you think house price increases of more than 20,000 per year are sustainable or affordable in any way? And do you accept that government policy is driving record house prices?
Thank you. Taoiseach, please.
Thanks very much, Deputy Kearns. Well, firstly, I agree with you on I definitely agree with you on one point, which is that politics and the next election certainly can't be about who comes up with the biggest figure in terms of the number of homes they're going to deliver, because the public will rightly see through that. What people will be much more interested in is the how. I think that is absolutely right, because you said there, people, everybody knows we need 60,000 homes. That's kind of neither here nor there. What people need to know is how are we actually going to get there. And the idea we could have gotten from a low base of under 7,000 homes being built in the year 2011 to 60,000 homes any earlier than now, I don't think is borne out by any evidence. And I'd be very happy to meet the housing expert or the construction expert who would counter that point. We're at a situation now where we're going to see close to 40,000 homes delivered this year. And these people buying new homes aren't imaginary. I mean, you tell a story of the housing challenge, which is real, absolutely real. But also, what is also real is the fact that there are 500 first-time buyers buying their own home every single week. That's real. And surely you must meet these people as you go around the country. You must meet these people in your constituency. I certainly meet them in mine. So I don't know if the rest of you don't meet them. I meet people every single week buying their home, buying homes that didn't exist only a few years ago. And that's because there's 128,000 additional homes that have been either added to or brought back into our national housing stock in the lifetime of this government, 116,000 of them being new build homes as well. And it's not just my word or my anecdote that actually shows that there is progress in terms of people being able to access their own home. Because if you look at drawdowns, look at mortgage drawdowns, so not commencements, not completions, the number of people drawing down a mortgage, it's true to say that the first-time buyer drawdown reached a peak of almost 26,000 last year, which was the highest annual level since 2007. So when you talk about a loss of hope, I fully accept there's huge challenges when it comes to housing, not just in Ireland, but right across Europe. But I also know that there's very significant hope when we saw more first-time buyers last year than any year since 2007 draw down their first mortgage. They're real people and they're real facts, and that does matter as well. When it comes to the issue of affordability, I am absolutely aware, and you'd want to live under a rock to not be aware of the huge challenges that people face in terms of trying to get their deposit together to buy a home. I met people as recently as Sunday on doorsteps who raised that issue with me. But I'm also aware, when I engage with those people, that there are a number of supports that government has put in place that is making a very significant difference to them. Whether that's the Help to Buy scheme, where about 50,000 people have now benefited from that scheme, whether it's the First Home scheme, where we're actually helping to bridge the gap between what you can get as a mortgage, what you can afford, and the price of a house. So when we look at headline house figures, that doesn't tell the full story, because we are intervening in terms of a level of subsidy that is without precedent in this country. And I will read your plan. I haven't yet read your plan, but I hope that you'd certainly commit, if in government, to keeping some of those schemes, because if not, there's tens of thousands of people who are hoping to avail of them in the months and years ahead who I think would be terribly disappointed.
Taoiseach, Deputy Kearns.
The figure you give of 40,000 homes, so that's disputed by the RSI and the central bank. We know that commencements are one thing and completions are another thing altogether. And for the first 6 months of this year, completions are down nearly 10%. So that's the reality. And you mentioned the Help to Buy scheme. And, in relation to that, the RSI has stated that if the Help to Buy scheme was scrapped, that house prices will fall. So while we can all understand that it can feel really supportive in that moment when house prices are so high to get that grant, it's, I think, a sad indictment of this government that that's really the only defence you have. And the RSI have said that removing it would actually bring down house prices. But Taoiseach, people watching at home can see that you're just not answering my straightforward questions. Instead, we just get deflection and spin. And the facts are actually clear. Median house prices are soaring by more than €20,000 a year. And listening to you, you'd swear that's evidence of a plan that's working. Is that what you're saying to people when you meet them on the doors? Because the people that I meet are completely fed up and exhausted, and they're giving up on ever being able to buy a home in this country. Taoiseach, this is the record of your government, and like I said, that record is going to be on the ballot. At the very least, I think for people to think that you would just accept that your policy is driving house prices might give some hope that you'd be able to address it. Do you at least accept that the government's approach has failed? That not introducing a vacancy tax with teeth, not banning the bulk buying of homes, not addressing these issues has not worked?
Taoiseach, please.
But there's no balance to your argument. I mean, this is the point. I mean, I'm able to stand here and I'm able to talk to the electorate on their doorstep, and I'm able to point to progress and also point to more to do. You just want to dismiss any of the progress, as though those extra 128,000 homes don't exist. And I'm interested in what you're saying now, because you set out your stall if you're to be in the next government. Well, if I'm to be in the next government, the Help to Buy scheme is staying. It's absolutely staying. And if you want to get rid of it, and if you want to tell the people who are processing their applications, probably right now in banks across the country, that you're in favour of getting rid of it, fair play, that's your position. It's not mine, and I won't go into government with anybody who doesn't keep it. It needs to be kept, as does the First Home scheme. Both of them need to be kept, because they're practical levels of subsidy, giving people back a little bit of their own money to actually help them save a deposit is exactly what my party and this government intends to continue to do. When it comes to bulk buying, you talk about spin and deflection. You don't say in your piece, Deputy Kearns, that we've taken more action in relation to bulk buying and stamp duty as recently as a couple of weeks ago in the budget. We've again increased the stamp duty rate. And also, when you talk about house prices never being higher, let's not ignore the analysis from the central bank as recently as last month. It shows that house prices relative to household disposable income is now 4.1 compared to 5.5 in 2007. I am aware that the biggest issue facing people in this country, the biggest issue facing our economy and our society is housing. Absolutely, that is true. But I'd much rather have a debate about how we can improve the initiatives that we have in place to make them work for more people, how we can get that housing supply from the 40,000 to the 60,000, then this idea of actually telling people that there hasn't been any progress made in the last number of years, it's not borne out by fact. 500 people every single week, including in your own constituency, are buying their first home, and the mortgage drawdowns for first-time buyers at their highest level ever since 2007. They're also facts.